Hey, um, hi. I know it's late and I know this is probably the last thing you expected when you opened the door, but I didn't really have anywhere else to go tonight. And I've been walking for hours trying to calm down and nothing helped. And somehow I ended up here at your place. And I know that's weird considering we haven't talked in forever, and the last time we did, everything was messy and tense and honestly kind of awful. But I just couldn't stay there anymore. Not with her pacing around and slamming doors and doing that thing where she pretends everything's fine but somehow still makes you feel like you're the one ruining her life. I just needed air and space and somewhere that didn't make my chest feel like it was tightening every time she opened her mouth. I swear I wasn't planning on coming here. I didn't even think about it until I was halfway across town, and then suddenly the only place that didn't make me feel sick was yours. Even if we haven't been in each other's lives for years, even if I had no idea how you'd react. I almost turned around a dozen times, but I kept thinking about how you always listened, even when you were upset, and how you never snapped at me the way she does. And I don't know, I needed that. Or I needed you. Or maybe just the memory of you being someone safe when everything else felt wrong. I'm not trying to dump my problems on you, I promise. I just needed somewhere to land for a second before I fall apart completely. And this was the only door I could knock on without feeling like I'd be kicked out immediately. I get it if this is uncomfortable or inconvenient or if you want me to go. I really do, but thank you for at least opening the door and not looking at me like I'm crazy. Thanks for letting me come inside. I know you didn't have to, and I know it probably feels strange seeing me here again after all this time. It feels strange for me too, honestly. Being in your space after so many years is, I don't know, surreal, familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. It's like I remember pieces of this, but everything's changed just enough that it feels like I'm stepping into a memory that isn't mine anymore. And I didn't think you'd look at me the same way you used to. I figured you'd forgotten me, or that I just became part of the whole mess with her in your head, and you'd file me under things you don't want to think about anymore. And I wouldn't have blamed you. I mean, the last time we talked was that night, and everything was loud and tense, and she was doing that thing where she twists every single word into something you didn't say, and I just stood there like a complete coward letting it happen. I didn't say anything useful or supportive or honest. I just froze like I always do around her. I honestly thought if I ever saw you again, you'd look straight through me like I was just another part of the problem. But you didn't. And that's messing with me more than I expected. It's like my brain was prepared for anger or coldness or something, but instead you're just here, calm, letting me in like it's nothing. And I don't know how to process that when everything else in my life feels like I'm tiptoeing through a minefield. I'm still trying to figure out why coming here felt right when nothing else did. Maybe because this was the only place that didn't feel like another trap she set. Or maybe because you were the only person who never made me feel small, even when things were falling apart. This water helps a lot. Thank you. I didn't even realize how dehydrated I was until I sat down. My legs still feel shaky from all the walking, but sitting here, I don't know. It feels like the first time I've stopped moving all day. Your place looks really nice, by the way. It looks like you now. Not like back then when everything had to be her idea or her style or her taste, and nobody else's. She never let anyone have anything that wasn't filtered through her control. And it's kind of weirdly comforting to see a space that actually feels like you. Sorry if I'm talking too much. I just haven't had a normal conversation in what feels like weeks. Everything at home is so tense and unpredictable, and she's been worse lately. The silent treatment, the guilt trips, the way she blames everyone for things she caused, and living with that every day just drains you in ways you don't even notice until you leave the house, and suddenly your head feels clear for the first time in forever. I know we haven't talked since everything exploded, and I know I never said this, but I'm sorry. Not for what she did, because that's hers to own, but for not standing up for you, for not telling you sooner how bad she could be, for not warning you that she would twist every word and every moment until you felt like the villain. I should have said something. I should have been braver. And instead, I did nothing, and you left, and I stayed, and somehow I ended up worse off than before. And now I'm sitting in your living room like I deserve to be here, even though I'm the one who watched it all happen. But thank you for letting me sit, even for a little. It means more than you think.
Okay, so, um, small talk feels kind of pointless right now, but I guess it's easier than jumping straight into the real stuff. I mean, yeah, work has been exhausting, and the house has been even worse, and I've been trying to pretend like everything's normal, but it's not. It hasn't been for a long time. And you probably don't care about what I've been doing these last few years, but honestly, I barely even know what I've been doing myself. Every day kind of blends into the next when you're living around someone who turns every tiny thing into an argument. And I know you know exactly what I'm talking about because you lived with it too. You saw the way she gets, how she twists everything, and how she makes every conversation feel like a trap you have to tiptoe around. I wish I could tell you it got better after you left, but it didn't. It got worse. The fights aren't even about real things anymore. They're about the tone of your voice, or the way you close the door, or how long you took at the grocery store. It's like she's constantly looking for something to blame someone for. And lately, that someone has been me. And I keep trying to stay calm or keep the peace, but it never works because she'll pick another thing within minutes, and suddenly I'm the villain in a story I never wrote. I feel like I'm shrinking a little more every time she starts something. Like parts of me go quiet just to survive another hour. And tonight, I just hit my limit. I couldn't sit there listening to her yell about something that wasn't even real. I grabbed my bag and walked out. And for the first time, I didn't care where I was going. I just needed to get away. And somehow, the only place that felt safe, the only place that didn't feel like another battlefield, was here with you.
I don't even know when things got this bad. I think it happened slowly, like one argument at a time until it became normal to walk on eggshells from the second I woke up. And every time I tried to leave the room or take a breath, she'd follow me around asking why I was being distant or dramatic or ungrateful. And I'd try to explain or apologize even when I didn't do anything, but she'd twist it, and somehow I'd end up comforting her for the things she started. I know that sounds insane, but that's what it's like living with her. You know it too. She always finds a way to turn everything into a story where she's the victim and everyone else is the problem. And I wish I could say I'm strong enough to ignore it, but I'm not. I get tired and overwhelmed, and then she acts like I'm the one ruining her life. The fights have been getting louder and faster and closer together, and tonight she started in on me over something so stupid I don't even remember what it was, and I just snapped quietly. Not at her, but inside. Like something in me finally said, enough. I can't do this anymore. I needed a place where I could breathe without being accused of something, where I could sit without being analyzed, where I could exist without preparing for the next explosion. And I don't know why, but the only person I could think of, the only person who ever made me feel calm, even when everything else was collapsing, was you. I know we haven't been close in years, and I know I'm showing up out of nowhere, but you were the only safe place my mind could come up with. The only person who ever saw me without turning it into a weapon. And I just needed that again, even if it's only for tonight. Honestly, being here right now feels strange in a way I can't even explain. Because on one hand, it feels wrong, like I don't deserve to be in your space after everything that happened. And on the other hand, it feels familiar. Like some part of me remembers what it felt like to be around someone who didn't turn every little thing into a battle. And sitting here, I keep thinking about those years when you used to come to the house, and I'd see the way she talked to you, and the way she blamed you for things that didn't even make sense, and the way she'd twist your words, and somehow you always ended up apologizing for something you didn't do. And I remember wanting to say something every single time, wanting to tell you you weren't crazy, and that she was actually the one stirring everything up. But I never did. I was scared of her reaction, scared of being the next target, scared of making things worse. And I hate that about myself. I hate that I stayed quiet while she pushed you harder and harder until you were exhausted and drained and barely yourself anymore. And the messed up thing is, she does the exact same thing to me now. Maybe she always did, but I didn't see it clearly until you were gone, and suddenly I didn't have anyone to look at and think, oh, so it's not just me. I've been holding all of this in for so long that I feel like I'm going to explode. And the moment I walked through your door, it was like my whole chest loosened for the first time in months. I know it's not fair to just dump this on you, and I know you owed me nothing after the way things ended, but you were always the one person who made me feel like I wasn't losing my mind, like I wasn't the crazy one.
It feels strange how easy it is to talk to you again. Or maybe easy isn't the right word because nothing about tonight has been easy, but familiar. That's the better word. It's familiar in a way that makes me realize how long it's been since I've talked to someone without planning every sentence in my head first, without worrying how they'll twist it or throw it back at me later. I keep waiting for that feeling of tension to hit me the way it does at home, like I'm walking into another argument I didn't sign up for. But it's not happening here. It's just quiet and calm. And I didn't realize how desperately I needed that until I sat down. I keep thinking about how weird it is that after all this time, after all the distance, the only place I felt like I could go when everything was falling apart was your door. And I'm not trying to make this dramatic or emotional. I'm just trying to understand why my brain chose you when I could have gone literally anywhere else. Maybe it's because you never made me feel like I was being judged for every tiny thing. Or maybe it's because talking to you always felt safe, even when things were messy around us. I know we haven't caught up on normal stuff, and maybe we should be talking about, I don't know, how life's been or what we've been doing all these years, but my mind's too full for small talk and too tired to pretend everything's fine. And I'm sorry if this is heavy or if it feels like I'm dropping my whole life into your lap, but there's this weird comfort in just being able to breathe near someone who isn't waiting for me to say the wrong thing. I'm not trying to drag you back into the past. I just needed to feel like a human being again. And this, right now, talking to you like this, it's the closest I've felt to that in a long time.
I keep trying to think of what the last few years even looked like for me, and it's kind of embarrassing how blurry everything feels. Because when you live around someone who drains the energy out of every room, it's like your brain stops making clear memories. Everything turns into routines and survival patterns and waiting for the next mood shift and the next argument and the next guilt trip. And I didn't notice how much of myself I lost until I started talking right now. And parts of me sound like someone who's been holding her breath for too long. I used to have hobbies and interests and things I actually look forward to, but somewhere along the line, all of that disappeared because the house never had space for anyone else's needs. Everything had to orbit around her. And I know we're not diving into that yet, but it's impossible to talk about my life without that shadow hanging over every story. But I don't want to make this all about her either. That's part of why I walked out. I'm tired of every conversation turning into something about her. I want to talk about literally anything else. Like, I don't know, I was thinking about the last time we all sat in the same room and how different everything felt back then, and how I didn't realize you and I actually had conversations that meant something until they stopped. I remember moments where we'd talk for a few minutes and it felt nice, normal, like I could drop my guard for a second. And I forgot what that felt like until right now. I missed that more than I expected. And I'm not saying that to make things weird or emotional. I'm just being honest because it feels like the first time in years that honesty isn't dangerous.
I think what's hitting me the hardest right now is how different the air feels here compared to home. Like I walked in and my shoulders instantly dropped without me even realizing I'd been holding them up all day. I'm so used to being tense that relaxing feels foreign.
like I'm doing something wrong just by sitting here calmly. It's kind of sad when you think about it, how being comfortable feels suspicious when you've spent too long around someone unpredictable. But being here, talking to you like this, it's starting to bring back pieces of myself I didn't realize I'd shut off. Like the part of me that used to laugh normally, or the part that actually said what I felt without rehearsing it. And maybe that sounds stupid, but when you've been dealing with constant arguments and mood swings, even a small moment of peace feels like this huge emotional relief. And I know we're slowly drifting toward talking about the real stuff, the things we haven't said in years, the things involving her, but I'm not ready to jump straight into that yet, because every time I talk about her, I feel myself shrinking again. And I don't want to shrink right now. Not when I finally feel like I can breathe. I want this part to last just a little longer. This quiet space where it's just us and nothing feels like it's about to explode. It's so strange because you were part of that world with her, and somehow you're still the one person who doesn't carry that same heaviness. Maybe because you understood before anyone else did. Maybe because you saw the truth before I let myself see it. Or maybe because even back then, I felt more seen by you in a 5-minute conversation than I ever did an entire day at that house. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
You know what keeps replaying in my head right now? The more I sit here and actually talk to you, the more I keep remembering everything you went through in that house. And I don't think I ever actually said this to you back then, but you were unbelievably strong. Stronger than anyone gave you credit for. And I know you probably don't see it that way because when you're in the middle of something that toxic, you're just trying to survive day by day. But looking back at it now, watching the way she would pick fights over nothing and twist every little thing you said and make you feel like you were walking on thin ice all the time, the fact that you lasted as long as you did shows a level of patience and control that honestly blows my mind. Most people would have snapped or shut down or become just as bitter as she wanted them to be. But you didn't. You stayed calm. You stayed gentle. You stayed yourself, even when she tried to drag you into her chaos. I remember thinking even then that you handled things better than anyone could have expected. And I should have told you, but I didn't because I was scared of making everything worse. But I'm not scared right now. And I want you to know that I've never met anyone who handled her storms the way you did. You didn't lose your identity. You didn't let her break you. You walked away before she could pull you under completely. And that takes a kind of strength most people never find. You're not weak for leaving. You were strong for surviving that long. I wish I had half of that strength. I wish I handled her even half as well as you did, because you were right. You were always right about her.
The more I think about it, the more I realize you weren't just strong for yourself back then. You were strong for everyone around you, even for me, even when I didn't deserve it. You always tried to calm situations down. You always tried to make things lighter. You always tried to keep the peace, even when she pushed you to your limit. And I didn't understand it at the time. I didn't realize how much weight you were carrying on your shoulders, just trying to keep things from falling apart. It makes sense now why you always looked so tired, why your eyes always had that heaviness in them,
why your voice got quieter every time the arguments got louder. You were holding everything together by yourself while she acted like she was the victim and everyone else was the problem. And somehow you still found ways to be kind, to be patient, to be gentle even when she didn't deserve it. And honestly, I've never stopped being amazed by that. Because even now, sitting here after all this time, you still have that same calmness in you, that same steadiness. You don't even realize how much you ground people just by existing. It's like being around you gives people room to breathe. Maybe that's why I came here. Maybe I was desperate for that feeling again, because I haven't felt that kind of safety in so long. You were never the chaotic one. You were never the problem. You were the one holding back the chaos everyone else refused to acknowledge. And I admire that more than you know. I admire the way you carried yourself, the way you refused to become cruel even when cruelty was all you were given. There's something rare about that. Something I don't think a lot of people would understand unless they saw it up close.
You know what's really hitting me right now as I'm saying all this? I'm realizing just how much I underestimated you back then. Not in a disrespectful way, just in the sense that I didn't fully grasp how much strength it took for you to show up every day and deal with all that madness while still being you. Steady, warm, patient, the one person everyone leaned on without ever asking if you had anything left to give. You were always the one trying to keep the peace, trying to prevent things from escalating, trying to make her feel heard even when she didn't deserve that kind of grace. And I used to watch that and think, wow, he really cares. But now I see it differently. Now I see the strength in it, the endurance, the emotional intelligence, the restraint, the compassion, all those things she never appreciated, never valued, never deserved. But I saw it. I see it even more now, and it makes me realize just how rare it is to find someone who doesn't crumble under pressure or turn bitter after being mistreated. Most people would have changed, hardened, shut down, but you didn't. You stayed soft where it mattered and firm where it counted, and I admire the hell out of that. I admire the way you held your ground without becoming cold. I admire the way you walked away when it finally became too much, because that took courage too. More courage than staying would have taken. Staying is easy. Leaving takes strength. And you had that strength. You still do. I can feel it just sitting here talking to you. The same steady presence that made me feel safe all those years ago. And honestly, I think that's why I'm here right now. Because I needed that strength again.
The more I talk to you, the more I realize how different you are from everyone else in my life. And I don't mean that in some dramatic, exaggerated way. I just mean you listen. You actually listen. You don't rush me or talk over me or make me feel stupid for having emotions. And I forgot what that felt like, being heard, being seen. And I keep catching myself watching you while I'm talking, because there's something about the way you look at me that feels steady, grounding, like you're actually here with me and not waiting for me to finish so you can correct me or pick apart my words. It's so strange because I wasn't expecting to feel this comfortable around you again. I thought tonight would feel stiff or awkward or full of all the old tension, but it doesn't. It feels warm, safe, almost too easy. And every time I remember the way she treated you, the more I'm realizing how blind I was back then. Blind to what you were offering. Blind to who you actually were beneath all the chaos she created. And now, sitting here, I'm seeing you clearly for the first time without her shadow interfering, and honestly, it's kind of overwhelming. In a good way, but still overwhelming. 'Cause you've changed, but you haven't changed at all. You're older and a little more worn around the edges, but you still have that calm, steady energy that makes people want to lean into you without even meaning to. I don't know if you realize how rare that is, how rare you are. And I'm not trying to make things weird or hint at anything I shouldn't, but I'm starting to understand why you stayed as long as you did and why leaving was so hard, because you loved deeply. And honestly, someone like you doesn't come around twice. It's just hitting me a lot harder than I expected.
It's strange, because I keep thinking about all the times you came over back then, and how even in the middle of her chaos, you always had this softness to you. Not weakness softness, warmth softness. Like even when things were falling apart, you were the only one who could steady the energy in the room. I used to watch you deal with her and wonder how you didn't lose your mind. But now I'm realizing it wasn't just patience, it was something deeper, something I didn't have the words for back then. And now that I'm sitting here talking to you again after all these years, it's like I'm finally seeing the whole picture. You weren't just trying to keep the peace, you were trying to protect yourself, protect the moment, protect the people around you, including me, even when you didn't have to. And that's something I never appreciated fully, but I do now. And it's making me look at you differently. Not in a dramatic, romantic way or anything like that. Just there's this quiet admiration building in my chest that I don't really know what to do with, because it feels new and familiar at the same time. I didn't expect to feel anything around you tonight except maybe guilt or awkwardness or leftover tension, but instead I'm feeling drawn to you. Drawn to the way you talk, the way you sit, the way you breathe. Like there's something calm about you that my whole body's been starving for. I didn't realize how much I missed being around someone who doesn't want to control me or fix me or manipulate me. Someone who's just steady. You don't even know what a comfort that is.
I keep trying to ignore this feeling building in the back of my mind, but it's getting harder the longer I sit here, because there's something about you that pulls me in without trying. It's not romantic exactly, not yet. It's more like this soft magnetic pull where my chest feels lighter around you and my thoughts feel less tangled, and my breathing actually feels normal for once. And I don't know if it's just because I'm exhausted and emotional, or if it's because you've always had this effect on me, but something inside me feels different right now. Like I'm remembering what it felt like to be around someone who cared without turning that care into control. Someone who didn't make me feel like a burden just for existing. Someone who made the room feel calmer just by being in it. And I know I shouldn't be thinking like this because this is complicated enough already, but I can't help it. There's this warmth spreading through me every time you look at me or nod while I'm talking or give me space to breathe. It's like parts of me that have been numb for years are slowly waking up, and I didn't expect that.
I didn't come here searching for comfort or affection or whatever this feeling is. I just needed a place to get away from the yelling and the guilt and the pressure. But now that I'm here, now that I'm sitting next to you, it's hitting me how much I missed the version of myself that only exists around people who don't drain me. And maybe that version only ever showed up around you. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. But there's something here I can't ignore. Something pulling me closer in ways I'm not ready to admit yet. But it's there, quietly growing in the background, whether I want it to or not.
I've been trying to hold this in for the last hour, but I can't anymore because it's sitting in my chest like this warm, aching weight. And every time I look at you, it gets harder to pretend I don't feel it. There's something about being here with you, something about the way you've been listening to me, the way your energy feels so steady and safe. But I feel drawn to you in this soft, slow, almost overwhelming way. Like my whole body is leaning toward yours even when I'm sitting still. And I keep catching myself looking at your hands, your shoulders, the way you breathe, the way your voice softens when you talk to me. And it's not sexual, it's not that. It's deeper, warmer. Like something inside me is waking up and stretching after being numb for so long. And maybe I shouldn't say this because it complicates everything, but I can't pretend anymore. I like you more than I should, more than I expected to, more than I've been letting myself admit all these years. And it's not some silly crush or nostalgia. It's this quiet, steady pull I feel whenever you're near me. This sense that my body knows I'm safe with you before my mind even catches up. I didn't come here to feel this. I didn't plan any of this, but being around you tonight made it impossible to ignore. You make me feel wanted without touching me, comforted without saying much, grounded without trying. And I don't know what that means for us or what you're thinking right now, but I had to say it. I had to let it out before it swallowed me whole because pretending I don't feel this would be a lie.
I'm scared saying this out loud, but also relieved because it feels like my chest has been tightening around these feelings for years without me noticing. I think part of me started feeling something for you even back then, in those tiny quiet moments when we talked in the kitchen or laughed about something stupid while she was in one of her moods. Those were the only moments in that house that ever felt gentle. And maybe that's why this feels so familiar right now. Because there was always this softness between us, something unspoken, something we didn't acknowledge because we weren't allowed to. And sitting here now, it's like all those unspoken pieces are falling into place. I keep feeling this warmth running through me every time you look at me, like your eyes actually see me, not the version of me that's been shaped by her, but the real me, underneath all the exhaustion and the hurt. And I can't explain how intoxicating that feels. To be seen, to be cared about even in the smallest ways. The way you handed me that glass of water, the way you kept your voice calm, the way you made space for me to talk without pushing. It all feels so intimate. Not in a sexual way, just human, vulnerable, close. I don't feel that with anyone else. I haven't felt that in years. And I feel myself wanting more of it, wanting more of you, wanting to be closer to you, in ways I didn't let myself think about until the night. I'm not saying I'm in love with you. I'm not trying to make this some huge traumatic confession, but I am saying that I want you. I want to be closer to you. I want to see what this could be if you let it grow. And I'm terrified, but also hopeful.
There's something happening inside me right now that feels impossible to ignore. And I don't want to pretend it isn't real anymore. Because the more I talk to you, the more my body leans into this feeling, like it's been waiting for this moment for years. I feel warm, not hot, not flustered, just warm in this deep, slow, comforting way that spreads through my chest and my stomach and makes my hands feel lighter. It's the kind of warmth you feel when someone you trust sits close enough for their presence to settle into your skin. And that's what you're doing to me right now, just by being here. And I know this might sound bold or reckless, but I need you to hear it exactly the way it's living inside me. I want you. I want to be close to you. I want to be in your orbit in a way that feels gentle and real and safe. I want to sit next to you without feeling like I'm doing something wrong. I want to talk to you the way I used to wish I could back then, when everything was chaos and you were the only good thing in the room. I'm not in love with you, not yet, but I'm walking dangerously close to something that feels like the beginning of it. Something warm and tender and steady. Something that scares me because it feels so natural. I don't want to run from that anymore. I don't want to pretend this is just nostalgia or stress or whatever excuse I could make up to protect myself. The truth is simple. I like you deeply, more than I should, more than I expected to, more than I've let myself admit until now. And if you told me right now that you felt even a fraction of that back, I think my whole world would shift in the best possible way.
And I know I'm saying all of this without giving you a chance to respond, but it's only because if I stop now, I'm scared I'll lose the courage to say the rest. And I need to say it. I need you to know that I'm not confused. I'm not desperate. I'm not clinging to the first quiet moment I've had. This isn't about needing anyone. This is about wanting you, choosing you, feeling drawn to you in a way that has nothing to do with the past and everything to do with what's happening right now. Because the way you looked at me tonight, the way you listened, the way you made space for me without asking for anything back, it made something inside me soften in a way I didn't think was possible anymore. And it made me wonder, do you feel it too? This warmth between us? This pull? This quiet closeness that keeps tightening every time we talk? Because I feel it so strongly, it's almost unsettling. Like, if I sit just a little closer, my whole body will melt into yours without meaning to. And I don't want to assume anything or push anything onto you. I just want to know if any part of you wants this too. If you've felt that same gentle shift in the air, that same new softness forming between us, that same sense that maybe, just maybe, after all the chaos and pain and noise, something good is finally allowed to happen, something real, something calm, something ours. And if you tell me you feel even a small piece of that,
then I think everything inside me will finally settle for the first time in years. I don't know what happens tomorrow or next week or where any of this leads, but right now, in this moment, I know exactly what I want and exactly why I came here, even if I didn't understand it at first. I came here because deep down, I trusted you. Because even when everything was collapsing around me, some part of me remembered how safe I felt around you, how calm you made everything, how your presence softened the sharpest parts of my day without you even knowing it. And being here now, sitting in your space, breathing your quiet, feeling your steadiness, it's making something inside me settle in a way I can't ignore anymore. I want you. Not in some dramatic fairy tale way, not in a desperate way, not in a reckless way, just in a soft, real, deeply human way. I want to stay here tonight, not because I need a place to hide, but because I want to be near you. Because I want to fall asleep in a room that doesn't make me flinch at every sound. Because I want to wake up knowing the first thing I see isn't anger or chaos, but you. Someone who makes me feel like I can breathe again. Someone who makes me feel like I'm allowed to want something gentle for once. And I'm not asking for a commitment or a promise or anything heavy. I'm just asking if I can stay right here with you in this warmth we've created tonight, just for a little while. Just long enough to remember what it feels like to be held emotionally instead of hurt. Because if I leave now, I think I'll regret it. And if you say yes, I think it might be the first good decision I've made in a long, long time. So, can I stay with you tonight? Just as I am?
Like my body finally exhaled after years of holding everything in, and it's making all these feelings surface that I didn't even know were still alive inside me. Feelings I pushed down because of her, because of the house, because of the chaos she created, because I didn't want to complicate anything or ruin anything or drag you into anything. But now that I'm here, now that I'm this close to you, it's impossible to keep pretending they're not real. I keep looking at you, and it feels like something inside me pulls toward you, gently but insistently, like I've been orbiting around this moment for years without knowing it. I'm not trying to overwhelm you or rush anything or throw everything on you at once, but I need you to understand that when I said I like you, I meant it in a way that goes deeper than a simple crush. It's something warm and slow and steady, something that feels like it's been growing quietly beneath all the noise, something that feels safe and grounding and strangely inevitable. I feel myself wanting to be closer to you in this calm, intimate way that doesn't need anything physical to prove itself. It's just there, humming under my skin every time you look at me, and I don't think I've ever felt something like this with anyone else, not even close. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, I want to see where this could go. I want to lean into this feeling instead of running from it.
The way you're just sitting here with me, not rushing me, not pushing me, not asking for anything except my presence, it's doing something to me I can't explain. It feels like warmth spreading through my chest, down my arms, settling into my legs, like my whole body finally remembers what safety feels like. And if I'm being honest, just being near you is sensual in its own way. Not because of anything physical, but because your presence touches parts of me no one has reached in years. The calm part, the fragile part, the part that just wants to be held softly without being controlled.
And when I imagine staying here tonight, falling asleep in this space that feels so gentle, waking up to a morning that isn't filled with tension or fear or someone else's anger, when I imagine opening my eyes and seeing you instead, something inside me melts. Quietly, slowly, beautifully. Like my body knows it's finally safe to let go. And I want that. I want to rest in the warmth of you, in the steadiness of you, in the softness you don't even realize you radiate. I want to stay here, close enough that I can hear your breathing settle into mine, close enough that the quiet between us becomes its own comfort. I want to feel this feeling a little longer, this slow, gentle pull toward you that makes everything inside me loosen. If you let me stay, even just for tonight, I think my whole soul would exhale in a way it hasn't in years. So please, just let me stay right here with you, just like this, wrapped in the softness of us, safe in the quiet we made together, warm in a way I never want to forget.